Grave of the Fireflies um, is one of the most beautiful movies that I think I've ever watched. Um, and I really don't say that. Um, Here's the thing. Anime is one of the few styles of not only film, but also art that I've never been able to fully appreciate, which is a huge bummer because I think there are a sizable amount of great anime properties that exist, and I'll probably never be able to fully enjoy them. The closest anime before now that I've really fallen in love with is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is one of the best shows ever made, but that's not actually an anime, it's a Nickelodeon show. But all that just makes me so much happier now because of how much I enjoyed this movie. It's fantastic, and I'm so glad that I can actually say that with full confidence. This movie is so good. This movie, while being rated PG, is really a gritty movie about two siblings trying to survive the horrors of war. This story structure is very simple, but it's really good. However, it's not the only place this movie shines. This movie also features a really introspective relationship between the main characters and what they're living through. Seda, the older brother, has lived through more than his younger sister, and so he has these scarily calm responses to very gruesome situations, showing how desensitized he's become over the years. And his sister Setsuko is very young and doesn't fully understand what's happening around her. These traits are both shown in several scenes. One example being the scene where Setsuko stumbles upon a covered corpse, and she just assumes he's sleeping. Seda then comes up behind her and very calmly brings her away from the fly-covered dead body, like without so much as an expression on his face. Now, in any other situation, this would be a very strange and unnatural response, but because of the context, it makes perfect sense. This is masterfully done as well because of how much it adds to other scenes. Not only does it add to the grim atmosphere that everyone's struggling through, but when he reacts to a situation normally, you know it carries a lot of emotion considering how well he was able to keep himself together when his mother died. Like Jesus. And when he does actually break down in the movie, it always involves his little sister, and that solidifies her importance in the movie. And incidentally, it also makes her death all the more painful to watch. Yeah. The beginning of this movie is also one of the best openings to any movie that I've seen. It starts in silence, and already I'm hooked. I love that. It builds tension. Then we get a very minimalistic narration that follows the Chekhov's gun rule. Everything he says, which is only like the date he dies, and that's it, it's all completely necessary. And then he dies. Seriously. But not before he has a little quick rosebud moment, if you know what I mean. Then the ghost of his dead sister appears among a bunch of fireflies, which is a scene that foreshadows a scene that foreshadows her death, which is a scene that I'll talk about later. Um, then, as ghosts, they spend the rest of forever watching Japan turn into what it is today. It's brilliant, gorgeous, and it's literally only the beginning of the movie. Honestly, I have so much to say about this movie that I can't even rack my brain to verbalize everything. That's how good this movie is. I also really don't want to make an extensive review because there's so much of this movie that I kind of just want to enjoy for myself. I mean, yeah, it's one of those movies. I gotta say though, while the music, sound design, and obviously animation were all beautiful, I'm kind of surprised how much I loved the animation in particular. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's already gorgeous, but the fact that me specifically loved it so much is a little surprising. Take Spirited Away, for example. Spirited Away is a movie that I tried to watch, but only got like halfway through before turning off. It's not that I thought the movie was bad by any means. I'm just a little idiot white boy that can't appreciate the art of that movie. I'm sure the story, sound design, and animation were incredible, but I guess it just wasn't enough for my little peanut brain to enjoy because I just couldn't get invested. That's not the case here, though. I was so invested in this small scale movie about war and survival that it ended up being one of the best movies I've ever watched. Like, it's like number four on my list of like favorite movies. It's really good. There's this one scene in the movie that I think easily stands out as one of the best scenes in the movie. The scene I'm talking about is about an hour in. Seda and Setsuko are playing with fireflies, and they get them on a net to create this atmosphere of green light. Setsuko then goes to sleep, and here's where the scene gets really good. Seda crawls close to her and embraces her, trying to go to sleep as well. But Setsuko, she wiggles out, and Seda rolls away from her to let her sleep in peace. I think this is foreshadowing her death in a sense that she will have to leave Seda, and Seda will have to let her rest in peace until he can be with her. This isn't even the best part yet. We cut to a singular Firefly standing on the net, and then the Firefly slowly goes out. And then the scene fades away to morning. This scene, again, foreshadows Setsuko's death, but this time it more focuses on the slowness of it. I think the light of the Firefly slowly going out mirrors the slow sickness that Setsuko develops before her untimely demise. And then to top it all off, we have this last shot of the scene where we can see Setsuko burying the Fireflies that died the previous night. We then have this beautiful moment of realization when Setsuko reveals that she knew that their mother died, and the scene cuts between her burying the Fireflies and her mother being thrown into a pile of bodies. Like I said earlier, when Seda gets emotional, the emotion of the scene increases because we know how rarely this occurs. Also, Seda didn't break down when their mother actually died. Instead, he breaks down when he learns that Setsuko knew the whole time. Again, this further solidifies how important she is to him, and further adds the emotion of her death at the end of the movie. I'm still sad about it, and I watched it yesterday. And then we have the line to end the whole scene. Setsuko cuts Seda off from talking. She looks at him straight in the face, in tears, and she says to him, "Why do fireflies have to die so soon?" The camera then pans away to focus on two fireflies. The two fireflies, they fly around for a second, and then they fly into the dark corner of the room, disappearing. Holy shit. You know exactly what I'm about to say. First of all, the line about fireflies perfectly foreshadows both of their deaths. Just one more time. And just to make it clear, we have the scene of the two tiny dots on the screen just fading away. This movie is golden. It's a masterpiece. I love this movie so much. The more I think about it, the more I love it. And there are so many subtle things in this movie that you have to watch twice to notice. I didn't even notice everything I just talked about the first time. I watched the scene twice. I probably still miss some things, and I'll probably have to watch it a third time just to pick up on it. And then, of course, there's the scene of Setsuko at the end of the movie. That scene almost made me cry my tiny little heart out, which is extremely rare. I'm an emotionless robot that feels nothing. So when I say that a scene almost made me cry, you know any normal person would lose it. The thing with that scene is not just the fact that a 4-year-old died of malnourishment, although that's a pretty depressing thought already. It's all the buildup that came before it. Setsuko has been established to be this extremely important part of Seda's life, so losing her is virtually losing the last thing he had to live for. He already lost his parents, everyone treats him like garbage, life in general has just become pretty dull because of the war, and Setsuko has remained this little fire in this otherwise depressing life, a little firefly, if you will. But then she dies, and then he dies very soon after, perfectly beginning and ending the movie. Alright, I think I'm gonna stop right there. This movie is one of the best I've seen, and some pieces of this movie I just want to enjoy for myself. I also have a sudden urge to spend unhealthy amounts of time with my family, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up and give Grave of the Fireflies a very rare 5 out of 5 stars on Rotten Tomatoes. I know I've only made 3 videos, but just trust me, this is rare. I think I love this movie a little too much.